So, Wuthering Waves has been out for about 2-ish days now, and I thought I would put out my review on the game because I think the game is shaping up relatively nicely. I also want to go over some comparisons that I've heard about, like mainly Genshin Star Rail, and then provide the games that I also want to compare Wuthering Waves to, which I have written down as Breath of the Wild and Monster Hunter, and a little bit of the Pokemon because of the Echo thing. To kick off this review, I want to go over the problems that I ran into the playthrough personally on day one. It was pretty stuttering when I first initially logged in. Like the game would stutter a lot, but as it went on, it stabilized itself and it was perfectly fine for me. I know that a few people can't even get the game to play, and there's a lot of bugs that came out on day one, and some mobile people couldn't even do anything, which is very unfortunate. And by the time I wrote this script, they came out with like a compensation of another 5-star selector. So they already are hitting like super big in our books because they've given us 3 5-stars for just existing, basically. And a lot of polls, a ton of polls have been given to us as compensation as well. As for the review, personally, for me, the story felt a bit lackluster up until after Act 4, which is during the war part, I guess. I'm calling it the war arc because we were sent after stuff, I guess. Like, I don't want to spoil too much for people that haven't gotten to that part. But it was that's where it started actually being a little fun. Act 5, Act 6. And as someone that primarily uses English voices for video games, the VA direction kind of felt emotionless, robotic-ish. And while it's probably not the VA's fault because they were probably just following directions, it just felt stale. While like a lot of the voice actors are great, don't get me wrong. Like Scar's voice actor is amazing, and like some other ones are really good, like Jingyan. Most of them are fine, and then some are just like super robotic that I just can't get used to. That could be a me thing. That could also be bad direction. And I've heard this multiple times that it's been beaten down now from other people's perspectives that Kuro is probably hiring directors around this time. So I don't know how true that is. I just been seeing the same thing. People are just not super satisfied with the VA direction, I guess. And I'm also in that boat because some of those voice lines are not delivered all that great in my opinion. Now I know I just threw out a lot of negatives, and maybe it's not enough negatives, but it's also like it's kind of what I'm getting at, and I'm not super critical over games in general. I kind of just be like game good, game bad kind of person. So I don't really make a lot of reviews. I kind of just play it. If it's bad, I quit. But it felt like a lot of negatives because I just attacked like their story bad and their VA direction is bad. But I also want to go over some of the positives. And the positives that are amazing for this game is the combat. The combat is by far one of the best things it has going for it, which is to be expected from developers of Punishing Gray Raven. The parry and dodge system feels absolutely amazing, and it is very satisfying to like hit that ping noise, and it shoots a bunch of dopamine into my brain. But that's just me personally. I love the parry and the dodging. It feels so good. I also personally really like the intro and outro skills for the characters. I like they can come in and do a hit, and they can also leave and do a little bit more damage or whatever their outro skill is. I think that is like a really nice thing, and it's very similar to Honkai Impact 3rd, which is kind of what I wanted to get at for comparison, that the combat system, while it's way better, it does feel a lot like Impact 3rd with the QTEs, they call it, where you switch out when the right side pops. And now that I'm thinking about it, Impact 3rd also only allows you to have 3 characters at a given time. this game also only allows you to have 3 characters at a time in rotation. So they might be pulling a lot from Impact Third more than anything. As I mentioned before, Kuro has also been giving a lot of pulls for free-to-play players, which is amazing. Because not only do you get the 3 5-stars now, that you also get like your choice in picking them too. There was only one random one, but you get 2 choice banner picks now. One comes after an 80 pull, but you know, it's still a choice for a standard. And you're just going to be, it's not using any of your premium currency if you're playing it right. But I think if you're going to pick up this game, I would recommend just blasting through the boring ass story and then explore and fight everything. Because this game's going to have a lot of endgame that's to be expected. And there's going to be a roguelike area, which I'm super excited. And I played a little bit of it, and I think it's actually like one of the best things so far, because it actually feels good to fight. So here's the big kicker paragraph. Will this game kill Genshin Impact? No, not even close. Every game has its fan base, and when that fan base dies, the game dies. And Genshin has so many people that it can't die anytime soon. Also, Natlan just got revealed, and that has a shit ton of hype around it already, because it looks really cool. I mean, from a teaser. But that being said, it's not going to kill Genshin. And I even still enjoy Genshin to this day, just not as much as I used to. And Wuthering Waves has kind of filled that slot for like enjoyment in an exploration game. But I still like Genshin. Genshin's story, in my opinion, 10 times better so far. The exploration Genshin is good, and the movement is like grueling from times, because like you can climb in Genshin and you just get stuck on a ledge, while in Wuthering Waves your character literally does like a full-on backflip to get up the like a little lip. And I like the Wuthering Waves movement and the exploration and running up the wall. That shit is very nice. And the grappling hook basically makes everyone a Kazuha, because you can just go straight up. The only reason Kazuha was actually really needed was to get over those stupid lips, so you can get that little bit of air. And in Wuthering Waves, you don't need to worry about that shit. I'm personally more intrigued by the Genshin and Honkai worlds than I am the Wuwa worlds for right now. Kind of where I'm standing on that. And also, for everyone that's dying on the Genshin hill, you guys are fucking idiots. You guys are literally comparing a 4-year-old game with a brand new game. Of course Genshin's going to have more content. It's been around the block a few times. Wuthering Waves just took a step outside and it's already getting shot at. It is crazy that we're even comparing these games. Yeah, we compare it because they're very similar, but it's also, one is going to be a little bit more polished because it's been out for a while and it gets patches every once in a while. Now, I will say Wuthering Waves development team is patching the shit out of their game and making it way better. And I have a lot more faith that in a couple years, Wuthering Waves is going to be absolutely amazing. Even comparing Genshin. And it will probably outshine Genshin at some point, because I have a lot of faith in this game. I'm going to hold myself to that. If it dies, it dies, but I doubt it. I mean, Tower of Fantasy still exists for the 5 people that still play that game. That's the thing. Wuthering Waves, yeah, it has bugs and problems upon release, but so does every single game. Genshin had a shit ton of problems on release. I played the beta, and that already had a lot of problems. The beta for Genshin Impact. Like, that had a shit ton of problems. As far as I remember. That was way back in the day. It was, what, 2019? Goddamn. But I believe in Kuro Games to actually patch things much, much faster than Genshin Impact's development team. Because I don't think Genshin development team actually gives a shit about half the bugs in their game, while Kuro Games is patching shit day one. As for the people that are comparing Star Rail, I really don't know why. They're completely different games. One is a turn-based gacha, and Wuthering Waves is an action RPG, like combat-focused gacha. They are completely different. They do share the same umbrella of being gacha games, which is probably why it's being compared in the first place. But there's really no reason to be comparing them. It's not like we're comparing Azure Lane to Fate Go. or Fate go to Genshin Impact. There, there's no reason to be comparing all these gachas. They all share the umbrella of gacha, but they're not the same games. Some are better than others, though. That's definitely a fact. And I still love Star Rail, and I will be playing Star Rail for the foreseeable future. And I'm also going to tack on Honkai Impact 3rd here, and I mentioned that earlier, that Wuthering Waves kind of copied their combat a little bit. Not quite, but the 3-person rotation, and also the time manipulation when you do a dodge. Like, everything just kind of slows down. Honkai Impact 3rd's thing, combat also had that. But most of the Genshin stands do not even know Honkai Impact 3rd exists, because they are so focused on Genshin that they're not even looking into the past of Hoyo's past games to see where maybe a better comparison would be. They're literally just seeing, ooh, open world game gets compared to open world game. Therefore, they're just better. And Wuwa can't be better than the one that gives me the tinglies in my pee-pee. Genshin stands are fucking something else. I don't like the fan base of Genshin, but I do play Genshin. As for the games that I wanted to compare Wuthering Waves gameplay to, I wanted to compare it to Breath of the Wild, because Genshin also got compared to Breath of the Wild. That Genshin literally got called a Breath of the Wild ripoff when it first came out. And now there's a ton of people defending that. So why isn't everyone saying Wuthering Waves is a Breath of the Wild ripoff when it's supposedly a Genshin Impact ripoff? Who the fuck knows, dude? But I personally think Wuthering Waves did better than Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild gets the Nintendo buff, and so people are going to defend that to the end. But if you look at one speed run from Breath of the Wild, that game is broken as all hell. So that's why I don't have problems with games that have bugs, because there are AAA titles out there that are just absolutely broken beyond belief. I said Monster Hunter in the beginning as well, because I think the combat for analyzing and reacting to the monsters is what I'm comparing it to. Now, the combat isn't quite that, because there's the parrying and all that, and you can hit way, way, way faster in Wuthering Waves than you can Monster Hunter, depending on the weapon, I guess. Because I'm a Switch X user, and that takes a little bit of time to get hitting, unlike the dual blades where you can actually hit relatively fast. As for the Pokemon aspect, it's just fun catching shit, and there's really no comparison there. You just use echoes to do stuff for you, like farm and fight with you, kind of more like Pow World than anything. It's getting compared to Pokemon because there's a Pokedex in the game. And I like that aspect because there's also shinies, and I love shinies. Very fun. To wrap this video up, Wuthering Waves definitely can improve, and I'm hoping they take all this feedback from the smart people and fix what they need to, which they already are doing as the making of this video, and will probably do in the future, because it really does seem like they're taking players' feedback. I don't know where they're pulling it from, whether it's China specifically or worldwide player base. Regardless, it seems like they're listening at the very least. Please do remember that this game came out 2 days ago. We need to give it time to breathe. We need to give the devs time to breathe. They are already hot fixing, so they are already stressed the fuck out. And they do not need Genshin people death threatening them for no reason. And like, this is just a good thing. Competition for Genshin is a good thing. It will make Genshin a better game at the end of the day. Whether you like it or not, Genshin will be a better game at the end of the day. And Wuthering Waves will also be a better game at the end of the day. Competition drives for improvement. And that's an amazing thing. Personally, I think Genshin has been coasting, being the quote-unquote top dog, and feed their community absolute garbage sometimes, to the point where they praise them for giving them filler patches. And filler patches, in my opinion, are the dumbest fucking thing that I've ever seen. While they can be necessary to give the development time to improve for like Natlin or something, I think if your plan is to make a filler patch, you're doing something wrong. A filler patch should only come when you're falling behind. Anyways, Hero Games, keep up the great work, and I don't know, maybe let me voice a character. That would be cool.